In photography there is a reality so subtle that it becomes more real than reality. I have very interesting hobbies like archeology and photography. Photography is about finding things, and painting is different, it's about making something. Photography, as we all know, is not real at all. It is an illusion of reality with which we create our own private world. What makes photography a strange invention is that its primary raw materials are light and time. In the world of photography, you get to share a captured moment with other people. When it comes to wildlife photography, you need to have luck and patience. Painting and photography keep the creative channel open, and for an actor, it's to keep alive, it's to keep awake, it's to keep watching, it's to keep feeling, it's to keep enjoying, to keep that sensuality of feeling alive. To me, photography is an art of observation. It's about finding something interesting in an ordinary place. I've found it has little to do with the things you see and everything to do with the way you see them. Writing, of course, is writing, acting comes from the theater, and cinematography comes from photography. Editing is unique to film. You can see something from different points of view almost simultaneously, and it creates a new experience. When a moment in front of me appears to be particularly special, whether it be by beauty or experience, I capture it. I usually find a reason to justify taking that photo, symmetry, or color, or contrast, and it's my hope that my photography sheds light onto what I see and do on a daily basis. Back in the day, I actually studied photography in Florence for a few months, and my photography teacher took away my digital camera and said, "No, use this, it's analog and it's square." It was a Hulga camera, a very cheap $3 or $4 plastic camera. And that's what inspired Instagram. I think that Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, was mentally taxing, if only because I had to go to a Christmas party shortly after I had wrapped photography in Romania at 2 in the morning as the Ghost Rider. The invitation had a Christmas ornament on it with Ghost Rider's face on it as a tree. You had to be aware that I saw that photography was a mere episode in the history of the optical projection, and when the chemicals ended, meaning the picture was fixed by chemicals, we were in a new era. To me, photography is the simultaneous recognition, in a fraction of a second, of the significance of an event. Most fashion photography is done by gay people finding women sexy, which is sort of not sexy at all, at least to a heterosexual man. I always thought of photography as a naughty thing to do. That was one of my favorite things about it, and when I first did it, I felt very perverse. I never read about photography. Photography records the gamut of feelings written on the human face, the beauty of the earth and skies that man has inherited, and the wealth and confusion man has created. It is a major force in explaining man to man. I mean, certainly writing, painting, photography, dance, architecture. There is an aspect of almost every art form that is useful and that merges into film in some way. Photography is truth. The cinema is truth 24 times per second. Light makes photography. Embrace light. Admire it. Love it. But above all, know light. Know it for all you are worth, and you will know the key to photography. Photography has always been a major part of my vision, my excuse for meddling with what the world looks like. It takes a lot of imagination to be a good photographer. You need less imagination to be a painter because you can invent things. But in photography everything is so ordinary, it takes a lot of looking before you learn to see the extraordinary. The thing with computer-generated imagery is that it's an incredibly powerful tool for making better visual effects. But I believe in an absolute difference between animation and photography. Most things in life are moments of pleasure and a lifetime of embarrassment. Photography is a moment of embarrassment and a lifetime of pleasure. The biggest cliché in photography is sunrise and sunset. Photography is an immediate reaction, drawing is a meditation. Contrast is what makes photography interesting. Photography is more than a medium for factual communication of ideas. It is a creative art. I don't think there's any such thing as teaching people photography, other than influencing them a little. People have to be their own learners. They have to have a certain talent. My interest in architecture has always been sculptural. Most of my photography is of architecture. Photography to me is catching a moment which is passing, and which is true. Photography is about finding out what can happen in the frame. When you put 4 edges around some facts, you change those facts. Your photography is a record of your living, for anyone who really sees. Photography, as a powerful medium of expression and communications, offers an infinite variety of perception, interpretation and execution. There is only you and your camera. The limitations in your photography are in yourself, for what we see is what we are. When you draw or paint a tree, you do not imitate the tree, you do not copy it exactly as it is, which would be mere photography. To be free to paint a tree or a flower or a sunset, you have to feel what it conveys to you, the significance, the meaning of it. Photography is a major force in explaining man to man. Photography is very personal to me. God knows how many rolls of film I have that I've never shared. Photography can only represent the present. Once photographed, the subject becomes part of the past. The beauty of women was the first expression of my photography. Photography takes an instant out of time, altering life by holding it still. I am interested in computers and technology, and art, photography, and design. A film carries 6 fine arts. It consists of architecture, painting, music, writing or literature, photography and performance. It's a conjecture of all these things and yet based on literature. When you think about it, media's the intersection of content and technology. It's all about storytelling, like photography and the camera. A lot of people think that when you have grand scenery, such as you have in Yosemite, that photography must be easy. I have no fear of photography as long as it cannot be used in heaven and in hell. I didn't do so well in the academic world, so I think the only way I could express myself was through visual art, anything I could get my hands on, whether it was glassblowing, sculpture, painting, or photography. I always wanted to be a painter, or a farmer. Photography was a way for me to freeze time and to capture the moments that were happy and healthy. I saw a photo as a way to go back to a memory if I ever needed to. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.